whatever, right?
Oh, Jesus. That is a disaster.
Boy,
that was a squirter. Oh, my God. Woo! Wow, that went everywhere.
Things just got serious.
This is how every podcast starts.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's actually fun.
A bunch of greasy stuff like, oh, that's a different podcast.
It is cold as usual.
No, it's not.
It is cold.
No, it's cold.
It's so cold.
It's chilly.
Tim is in, what's it called?
He's a different breed, man.
Yeah, I know. I just,
From
no.
the north.
He was born, his DNA is
It's just
more
cold.
capable.
Part Eskimo.
Yeah,
That might actually be.
it might be.
We're still trying
might
to figure
be.
that out.
Oh, my goodness.
Recently
And this guy used to
discovered.
walk to school with shorts on and t-shirt,
He
minus 30
goes
weather.
to work every day now.
Fucking
and
flip-flops,
In 15 feet of snow, though.
uphill both ways.
No.
Our school didn't get closed unless it was minus 40 for 20 minutes. I think that
What?
was the rule.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Modify with TrickFactory Customs. If this is your first time watching, my name is Elvis.
Tim?
Rob,
I'm Brett.
Awesome. And in this podcast, we just talk about modified cars because that's what we do. We're a custom shop located here in British Columbia, Canada. And in this episode, I think it's going to be very interesting because it's more of it's going to be kind of technical, but not really. I think it's for everyone. We're going to be talking about paint versus Cerakote versus
Powder coat.
exactly that. And we're going to be it's going to be a very comprehensive episode, I think, at least because a lot of people that work on cars there's just a lot of questions that come up with a lot of things with paint. I don't want to go into it right now, but we're going to do that as the episode goes on. But before we get started, if you guys are watching this for the first time, like the video, give it a thumbs up on YouTube. If you're listening to it on podcasts, just give it a 5-star rating so we can move up in the podcast rating world.
can I just say thanks again to our friends in South Africa?
Yes, South Africa.
We love you guys.
We're doing gloriously. We're highly rated right now in South Africa, but so that's good.
One step at a time.
Yes. And we moved this content, so Modify with TrickFactory Customs, it was on our main channel. And so we moved it to its own channel on YouTube. So if you guys are interested in watching it, if you don't see it on our main channel, just go to Modify with TrickFactory Customs, search that on the YouTube search bar, and it'll take you to this episode. So with that said, let us just dive right in. What have you guys been up to all week?
Oh, man. Well, we've been doing a bunch of shop updates actually related to paint. We're putting a new paint booth in. So for me, myself, I've been pre-staging a bunch of projects that are coming up. So a lot of behind the scenes stuff and then just chasing whatever these guys need to do what they're doing in the shop.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Same. I mean, that's kind of the topic of the last weekend a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Like we've all been just sort of,
Going very
getting
hard
down and
at
dirty,
it.
trying to upgrade the shop as fast as we possibly can so we can get back to making cool shit. But yeah, it's a big change in the shop and we're looking forward to getting through it so we can get back to making rad cars.
Well, what have you been up to, Brett?
Same building the paint booth.
You're the painter building the paint booth.
So
I feel like it's part of the process of being a painter.
Yeah, building paint booths.
Building a paint booth. If you get to know your paint booth.
I think he's done it a couple times with us. This is his
second booth. Well,
third
third.
booth.
Oh
Third
my
paint.
goodness!
Actually,
Wow.
right where we're sitting right now is actually used to be a paint booth.
No way!
right. That's
What?
right.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Evolution.
Evolution.
right.
That's awesome. So, as we're getting started, just tell us about yourself because this is your first time on this podcast.
Yeah, that's true. Brett, I'm the body paint tech. I do all the paint work.
Wow.
Yeah, 7 consistent years. And then before though, I've known these guys for a very long time, probably about 15 years now, I think, close.
Oh my
Close to
God.
about 15 years.
I think
He
we've been
started
pals
out
for a while now.
as the detail guys.
Yeah, we just used to come by all the time when we were young kids and detail all the fancy cars and maybe some of the bikes too and stuff like that when we were young. And I tried to work for them for a little bit. That didn't really work out when I was young. But yeah, I got fired.
Oh, sure.
Wow. I mean,
I kind of got fired.
let's say we let him go so we could grow and evolve and become the man that he is now.
Wow.
Yeah, no,
So
but I guess
wholesome.
I've been doing this kind of. I've been involved with cars since I was probably 13, 14 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, so most of my life.
Sweet. And then like
deep in your DNA, I'd say.
Yeah, it's really deep in my DNA.
what
like
kinds
my
of
family
cars
and
are
stuff.
you? Are you more like
I'm more muscle car
Okay.
guy, but I appreciate absolutely everything.
Yeah,
That's
No, he
awesome.
doesn't.
No,
He appreciates stance.
no, I do.
He wasn't here for the stance.
Oh, he doesn't
conversation.
appreciate
Oh,
stance?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so no, I appreciate Mercedes, BMW, those things, okay? Like, no, I'm not about those stance cars. Those stance cars suck.
No, depends. I mean, the audience might not like that.
I don't
Pretty
know.
strong
Only like
opinion.
3 people
That's-
that didn't like
That's
it.
all right.
I know,
You're-
right?
You're entitled.
I have a very strong opinion on
Oof,
that.
maybe we'll do a
I
part
believe
2.
in form and function, not dragging the whole bottom.
Yeah,
side of
the
your
frame, yeah.
car. Doesn't make sense.
Oh, that one went well. We had
Went well, yeah, very well. Yeah.
we got a lot of response to that podcast. There was one. He talking about chasing clout, so I'm gonna give him a little bit of clout.
Oh my gosh.
And there's only one guy that was like, he was die hard stance, man. He was ready to go to war. It went on for days. I was excited.
Just back and forth and back. So if you want to see that, you can head over to our Instagram account and you can follow the post that we made on the YouTube video and you can see the whole argument there because it's pretty funny.
Yeah, and it was me, not Elvis.
Yeah, no, yeah, I know.
I'll take credit for that one. He's a nice guy. And it's like, oh man, this guy's super nice. Oh shit, he's a real
Yeah, it's
dick
like I
right
have
here.
a double
Dual personality.
Yeah, personality. Yeah, it's
So that was the
interesting.
last podcast that we did. So if anybody out there, listening or were watching this, you never watched that one, you should check that.
Check
one
it
out.
out.
It's pretty
Yeah,
fun.
it's pretty
We had a
fun.
good time.
Yeah. Awesome. So with that said, we're just going to dive right in. And so before we dive into the differences between all of them, paint and Cerakote and Powdercoat, let's just go ahead and just define them. And it's so cool we have you here today. So because you are the chief painter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I do all that stuff. I'm hands-on with it, so and I've had to understand each aspect of it in its own way. I'm not big on the powder coat side because I haven't really done a lot of it, but yeah, I mean, Cerakote's an amazing product, hands down. We use a lot of it here on motorcycles, cars, everything. You can paint absolutely almost anything with it. Paint is obviously, for
So what's the significance of Cerakote?
Yeah.
the significance of Cerakote. I mean, there's so many aspects to it. The thinness, like the mill thickness of the product alone is super thin,
It's like crazy thin.
crazy thin.
When you say mill thickness, what
Yeah.
does that mean?
like mill
The
thickness, paint
actual
buildup.
thickness that it creates by applying it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So generally, paint jobs are rated in like mil thicknesses. Oh. So there's like a sweet spot you want to shoot for the longest longevity. Because if you go too thick, you're going to have problems. You go too thin, you don't have enough coverage. So, but the significance of Cerakote is you can use it. It's so thin that it was originally developed for firearms. So the tolerances are super tight. Then it crossed over into the stuff that we do, and we use it for everything.
Yeah, because it's got very good heat tolerances, and you could basically do turbo housings with it and quench
Oh,
it.
so we can take
And
like
it'll
what's
still
like
maintain
the
its same
temperature? What's
color.
like the maximum temperature that it can get to?
I think some of it. I mean, some of it I've seen goes upwards of 2,000 degrees.
Oh wow.
That's hot. That's hot AF. And you could take it from 2,000 degrees and quench it into cold water, and it'll look exactly the same before and after.
Wow, that's
Like
cool.
it's pretty legit.
Without flaking or peeling.
So it's like in that respect, Cerakote. Props to you guys for developing that. It's an amazing product. We love it.
I absolutely love Cerakote. I've Cerakoted.
This guy would Cerakote everything.
I literally would Cerakote everything.
Yeah,
And I-
for real. Like sometimes you get like, no, man, you can't Cerakote that. That's not what we're going for.
But I've actually
come on,
done
man.
it on my own projects, like my own motorcycle. I've took it apart and fully Cerakoted everything that I could.
It looked awesome, by the way.
And it turned out pretty cool. And then even my truck project alone, that as well, I've Cerakoted almost every inch of that truck has a piece of Cerakote here and
right.
there.
I
on
mean,
that
the
thing.
whole engine of your
The whole
your truck.
engine, exhaust system, headers, fuel
gorgeous.
cell.
It's beautiful.
Wow.
My interior
Oh
parts,
my
steering
God.
wheel, column.
So you would Cerakote instead of painting, because some people might not know what Cerakote is in general. So it's what ceramic coating, right?
That's right.
Yeah, but it's not. It's definitely different than the original version of what people associate ceramic coating to.
Okay.
The original version was like a heat coating, but it was like
that chrome stuff.
Yeah, it was like silver, and then if you took it outside of its heat range, it discolored. And you ended up with blotchiness,
a flat tone to it.
And if you were to drive through a puddle while it was heated, you'd end up with water spots that you could never get off. And whereas Cerakote is like
chemical resistant.
It's super thin, so you don't get like that weird candy shell like blown out. Like the reason I like it so much myself personally is because we do a lot of machined parts, and you don't lose any of the detail. You don't lose any of the sharpness.
Yeah, it turns out really nice.
Whereas if you powder coat something, it looks like an M&M when you're done. Like
and it has no real like it's like it blows out all the hard edges.
Yeah,
I mean powder coat. That's the one thing about powder coat. I mean, it has its place, but you lose all the detail work.
That's interesting.
You put a lot of effort into these things.
Yeah.
Why would you want to do that?
I didn't even know there was a difference between powder coat or Cerakote. I honestly thought they were the same because. Yeah, like I just never knew. And
powder coat is super thick. So, and like if it's something that you have to take apart and put together multiple times in a build or throughout the build after you've built it and you're tuning and this and that, like I've experienced it myself personally on my truck, having to readjust valves and having to, I have an exhaust leak, so I have to take my header out and fix that and see what's going on. And just multiple things. Like I did all my V-band clamps. I've Cerakoted them and I've taken them apart multiple times and they still look exactly the same as they did when I first Cerakoted them. And I've probably had them apart 3-4 times now.
Wow. And so what, like for powder coat, what is, how does it go on compared to Cerakote? Because I think that is also a big difference between both. Even paint
so too. Like powder coat is, it's like electrostatic. So you charge the part negatively, the powder positively. So it makes it really good for really easy to coat because it's hard. You can't really get runs. Technically, you can if you coat way too much. But I mean, you got to go really far out of your way to do it. And so it's like there's not a lot of waste because it's literally they're just matching particles almost.
Okay.
And then you bake it and it melts and flows out.
Like you literally bake it?
Product as well.
Oh, it's way cheaper.
Oh,
so much faster.
Okay.
It's cheaper than paint.
I wouldn't say it's faster. I mean, it's faster turnaround time because you have that capability to put it in the oven as soon as it comes out and it cools. You basically do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, with Cerakote, where it's like if you Cerakote something, you have to wait. I think it's like 72 hours until it's fully cured.
Okay.
I believe for most
72 hours to handle. And a week for it to be fully
full cure into service. Yeah.
So it's almost like, so it's paint compared to paint. What's the wait time for like a standard paint job?
I mean, paint job, you can get it out the next day. I mean, depending if you have a bake cycle or anything else, it all depends on the temperatures and, you know, again, bake cycle. If you have a bake cycle, you could probably get it out at the end of the day within like probably 2-3 hours of finishing your last coat of clear. You could probably get it out.
Well, that's interesting.
So, but Cerakote to me, I feel like is so easy. Like I don't know what it is with that product. For most part, most of the Cerakotes that we have used have been amazing application. The way they work is just incredible. It's flawless.
So does it just go on like regular paint then?
No,
there's definitely he's kind of under. He's gotten really good at it.
Yeah,
a lot of people struggle with it, but we have a very specific process. Yeah. That we do that brings it. Our results are always really good.
So I guess that's just me being a painter, me being like an automotive painter, doing all the different process of paint, like priming and epoxies, and base coats, single stages, and all these different products. Like it's very tedious and very time consuming. And if you skip one step, it can go sideways real quick. With Cerakote, if you stick to the program, what I've come to realize being good at painting over the years of painting, I've come to realize that Cerakote is just I have really good luck with it and it turns out really well. I just really love using the product.
It's a super consistent product. If you stick to the steps and you're methodical about it, it works every single time.
That's pretty awesome.
So whereas a lot of these like older traditional painters, they're like mad scientists. Like they're mixing and matching, doing all kind of wild stuff, and it's like half the time it's good, the other half it's a complete nightmare. Whereas Cerakote, it's like we can dial it in. Like if you do the steps, we know exactly how long it's going to take.
Oh wow, okay.
So if it's like we don't have time to complete those steps, then it's not going to be done. We can't cheat it in any way.
Oh wow.
So it's like we know it's going to take from start to finish, say 4 hours. So we know if we have time to do it.
I think that's what I like about the product. It's like there's no guesswork with it.
Yeah.
It's like you just like, it took some time to learn, because like even when we first started, I was really nervous to use it, and Tim wanted to really get into it, and I was like, oh, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know about this product. This seems,
And I can imagine you
seems a
saying
little
that.
sketchy. Because it's always like I guess with previous things, is like always trying to learn new stuff.
Yeah.
It's always usually a headache. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, like that didn't work out, and we have to start all over. And like most of the time with paint work is expensive to start over. It's not cheap. So with the Cerakote though, even we've had mistakes, and it was a long learning curve to figure out a process and how we should do it in our environment and with what we have in our equipment. But yeah, in the end, it just turns out it's pretty awesome. I love Cerakote. Cool. I love Cerakote everything.
The level of success that we have with Cerakote is I've actually had other shops and people reach out to ask us.
Wow.
And generally what it comes to is just the level of preparation. Like
I was going to ask about
we take it one step further than pretty much everybody else.
So what does the prep usually look like?
Surprisingly enough, it's like, well, we use acetone a lot to pre-clean it.
Okay.
We have the luxury of being able to pre-bake a lot of stuff because we have our own powder coat oven in-house. So we can like bake it, like bring it up to temperature. It'll sweat any oils out. So you got one more opportunity to rinse it with acetone. And then generally what you start with is Blue Dawn, which is recommended by the manufacturer.
Dawn, like washing
dish soap.
Dish soap.
Yeah.
No.
So you get it
like a red Scotch Brite is like an amazing prepping tool.
Yeah, so you get it as good as you can with
Very
that,
good
and then we'll do a pre-bake, sweat any other oils out, rinse it with acetone, and then, sorry, I skipped the blasting cabinet. First, you blast everything.
Okay.
Scrub it the shit out of it, blast it, bake it. Any residual oils that sweat out of it, we rinse with acetone, and then we can get into Cerakote.
Yeah.
Another thing with the Cerakote too is also preparing yourself in the event where it's like a used part, a used engine part.
Yeah.
So you've the thing has had oil cycles and it's had black soot in like for example like headers and stuff like that. Because we did a set of headers. I remember when we first started and we put them in the bake oven and we had them hanging with the bottom of the main flange down in the oven. And we had it in there, I think it was at what temperature, like 210 degrees? Something like that for about 45 minutes. And when we opened
and these were clean and blasted.
And they looked amazing. But what happened was all the oils from inside the header actually dripped out onto the floor of our powder coat oven.
Wow.
And it was actually quite an eye-opener.
That's,
it's just how much is hidden in there that you don't really see. And I think, the significance of like, procedure is based on like what the part is. Like a brand new off a CNC milling machine part, a billet piece of aluminum is not going to require the same level of pre-bake and preparation that say a used set of headers is, right? Like it's an entirely different animal.
Especially different crevices and stuff like that. If it's a piece that you can see every little aspect of it, you don't have to worry so much. But if there's a piece where it has hidden little pockets or like a header, for example, where the collector is, you have that one little spot where you have a huge potential for failure if it's a used part. And I
think a lot of it's been our own trial and error.
Big time.
Because you can have a part that's bolted together and the seam is almost non-existent and stuff will still sweat out of there. And you'll end up with fish eyes along that seam.
Oh, so that's what causes fish eyes?
Is the oils coming out through the product.
That's it, because I've seen you, Rob, whenever, I forgot what you were working on, but you used a blowtorch to heat up a piece of metal before working on it.
Yeah, see, and that's just, and I was actually going to mention that is like time of year, like here in Canada, like we're like very, very distinctly different seasons, right? Like right now it's cold. So every piece of metal and everything in our shop, if it's going to have a surface finish put onto it, we need to you got to sweat the material to get all the moisture out of it, because that's all within, right? You do that first, you get it all clean, and then you're ready to go, right? But I mean, in the summertime, that's not as necessary, right? So what the part originally was, what time of year it is, I mean, these are all part of the program.
Also,
as to how you prepare it.
I would also say what the part is a big part. Like if it's a part of an exhaust system or an engine, something that's got real temperatures, you would probably want to spend more time in the prep department.
Interesting.
Cast versus billet. you know, all these things like
versus
so
sheet
much.
metal.
Like cast material has, it's unbelievable just what's inside that cast.
It's actually
yeah,
crazy. Every
like
time
as soon
we
as
do
you
it,
heat it up, it just all
surprising,
kinds of shit just starts oozing out. It's crazy.
Sounds like the pimples that you guys are watching yesterday. Just oozing out.
I don't even want to visualize that. Man, no, dude.
That was gross. But yeah, that's very interesting. So like, just talk to us about paint, because I'm also learning these things too, because I had no idea of any of this stuff before I became a part of the shop or the team. And so about paint, what kind of stuff do you have to do to ensure like a good paint job? And it's probably a broad, like there's a lot, but just
so much.
give me like the highlights, because I'm sure you guys too have
the Cole's notes.
Yeah, so just you guys can give me all the highlights.
I think like using, like say that MGB we just finished, the MGB GT.
Okay.
I feel like that would be a prime example. The car came in, was supposed to be, the customer wanted like a scuff and shoot.
Okay,
You know,
what is that?
A scuff and shoot would essentially just be sanded out, fixed little repairs, and then paint. But when you see like a previous old paint job, you always have to like dig into it, because what I've come to see, we've all done it a million times, is like you'll see tiny little defects in the paint, which it always comes from the ground up, like from sheet metal. I mean, from the sheet metal up to the top of the paint. And you always have to keep that in mind and like consider what is underneath. That is what I always, and what we've always come to do is we always strip the cars.
Okay.
Start from scratch, get down to bare metal, and build your paint job from bare metal up.
Wow.
With our new modern products.
So we don't really do scuff and shoots. Like we always try, but it's never worked.
It never works.
It never works.
Okay.
Because everyone tells you like, oh no, it's a solid paint job, everything's great. And you're like, okay, cool. And if that's the case, then yeah, maybe we can get away with scuff and shooting it, but we've never had one.
Unless it's like a newer car.
Okay.
If it was a new car and you were doing like a color change or just a refresh, then you might get away with a scuff and shoot. But our biggest problem is our customers, like we're not doing production stuff. So like a Honda Civic at any general body shop, could change hands 5 times in 5 years.
Very
so
true.
like you're never getting back to the beginning.
Same.
Whereas like the stuff that we have, some of these people have these cars for
decades.
Well, every car we've ever
Lifetimes,
built
right?
still comes to us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I mean, we got
become
cars
married
that
to
are
it.
20 years old. So we have to do our due diligence because it's coming back. Like it's almost like built-in lifetime warranty.
Yeah.
Another example would be actually Al's 55.
Right.
55
Al's 55 came
Bel Air?
into us. It's a 55 Bel Air, the blue and white one. That car came in and it had been done
Ready for paint.
Yeah.
ready for
Yeah,
paint from
ready for
a
paint.
back-
In primer.
from a
go.
backyard guy, and it had an epoxy on it, and I'm pretty sure it was like a PPG DP epoxy, which is a pretty common product used in the industry.
Okay.
And it's a really good product. But what these people had done is literally just epoxied over the original paint from 55 without even sanding the car.
Without sanding?
Yeah.
We looked, and it was all in one solid color. And we started looking at it, and we're assessing the job. And I'm looking at something. I saw some tape on the thing, so I was just trying to razor blade the tape off the car.
Yep.
Just to kind of just get an idea as to what it was. All of a sudden, it just
I'm gonna guess it came off.
all the epoxy started coming off the car, and I'm like, this is not.
Oh my
pieces,
God.
like
Like
very
big
big
We were able
sheets.
to razor blade it off.
Oh, that's bad.
We eventually took the body off the car, and I think we had it sent out for blasting, and we started all over from ground up. Like, got the car back from epoxy right into the booth, or from sandblasting right into the booth, got it into epoxy, and then we started our metal work. Like, because that's, in our opinion, that's a proper way of approaching a ground up.
You see, and if we approach it that way, then we can sleep well at night,
And we don't have
knowing
to
that
think.
it's going to be
You
good.
don't have to think.
You know,
And if you
we
do
can,
it that
we
way-
can stand by our finished product.
Yeah.
Then you have recourse too. Like if a product fails and you followed all the steps, we can go back.
see
We've never
what you
had a lot of
mean.
success with it, but at least you'll get the product replaced. Like if something happens, but
Wow.
Yeah, because we've had product failure.
we've
as
had
well.
product failure.
And that was just bad.
Does that happen often?
That was just, like somebody pushing a new product,
Yeah.
and us not, honestly, me being like, you know what, let's try it out, and then it doesn't work.
It's good to try it out,
but
though.
the thing
Like,
is
it's a
that
big
you have
learning
to
curve.
do it,
yeah,
right?
that's how you
Because,
found
like,
Cerakote, for example. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
But that was
but-
probably part of his apprehension originally with Cerakote is because we do get salesmen in here, and they always got the latest and greatest thing, and
It's the same as this, and
you
like
can't really trust them because they're playing with margins. So they might get 20% commission off this product and only 7 off of that one. So it's like it's hard to trust them because we have tried things that are supposed to be better, and we're not always we're not trying to chase the cheapest stuff. We just want the best stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, this is like this is like this, and then we got bit on a Dodge Mega Cab. Like literally couldn't pick a bigger vehicle, and we had primer sink on us, and we ended up having to respray the whole truck.
because we were told
Primer
that,
sink.
I'm not going to say name brands, but we use PPG products because PPG products are honestly, in my opinion, one of the best. And they've been proven, and we've done it multiple times, and it always works out. We
And
never had
manufacturers
issues.
use them.
Yeah, it's
no?
OEM.
Yeah, it's OEM spec, like whatever. But we were told that this product that we were using was exactly the same product and came from the same drum, and it's just relabeled. And I'm like, I don't know, man. It kind of seems weird. Why would they do that?
Yeah.
And I went against my better judgment, and we just went with it, and it sure enough it failed. But like again, it's an expensive fail, but at the same time, you big time learn from those mega fails.
Yeah.
And like you'll never make that mistake again. And if you do, then you're foolish.
Yeah.
So
That is literally what defines a fool.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
exactly.
And so you said primer sink. What is primer sink?
When it shrinks and you start to see the Bondo scratches or bodywork scratches, I like saying Bondo, but bodywork.
Yeah.
You can see and it starts to ring and it shrinks, and it's really not pleasant.
Then you
to
get
look at.
what's called islands.
All these words.
Yeah.
I'm
Because if you have a repair
terminology.
from like a little bit of a ripple or a ding, and it's usually round, and you feather it out.
Yes.
So then if you have shrinkage in your product, then it creates, you can see it in the paint. It looks like an island.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And a lot of
thinking
time
back now.
it's
I've
from-
seen that
it's
multiple
from-
times.
You're like, oh.
Yeah, my Datsun has some of
remember
those. Has a lot of those.
Oh, we got an interruption.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow, look who it is.
Yeah. What were
Okay.
we talking about?
What were we talking? We were talking
bad
about
product.
Yes.
That product.
shrinkage and islands.
Yes.
This.
Island boys.
Island
Oh.
boys.
there's a lot of island boys
Not
in
a
the
lot of
city.
island boys here. Yeah, there's not a lot.
Oh my god.
They come in, we chase them out.
So what are some speaking of islands and shrinkage and all of that, what are some other things that show up in like a paint job that is not good and ways to prevent those things?
Blistering, fish eyes.
What are those? What are those things you
Runs.
just said?
Well, blistering is usually contamination or overuse of a product, like Tim was saying before with mill thickness. You can get blistering with excessive use
Okay.
or excessive amount of mill thickness. You can get blistering and delamination.
Bad body work.
Bad bodywork. That's
Bad,
another
well,
one.
more bad metal work. Like if you have a pinhole and it comes through the back of a panel, it'll create a blister
Oh, really?
because you're
Yeah,
getting moisture
absolutely.
in from the
Yeah,
backside.
that's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
Oh.
So that's usually where blisters come from, or trapped product. Like poorly mixed Bondo, you might have like a soft spot, and
Yeah.
it'll eventually turn into a blister.
But can like rusting from the bottom cause a blister then?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
generally bad metal work or poorly being
that-
poorly sealed from the backside.
Yeah, another thing that you want to make sure of is that you have your metal should always be sealed from both sides, like the best ability, like with epoxy. There's a lot of places on a car where you can't access to get epoxy into, but there is a lot of techniques and products out there that you can get now that can prevent those hard to get to areas from corrosion.
So for like inside a frame rail, for example, like what would you
Or
put inside that if you're like welding or maybe shortening a frame or something? Like
They make different corrosion products for it. Like
Yeah, like
essentially, you
3M.
drill a hole and then you'll feed a tube into it and then spray it and pull it out.
there's
and
like
coat
spray
the
wax,
inside.
Yeah,
cavity
like a
wax.
cavity
oh,
wax.
wax. Okay.
Wax. Some people use foam inside things like that too.
I think they actually, I'm not 100% on this, but I think I heard something about a type of epoxy that's kind of similar to the spray wax with a wand.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think there's an issue with it. I was talking to someone about that. You can't apply it in a manner where you know that it's at the proper mill thickness. Because if you put it on too heavy, it doesn't actually do what it's supposed to do, and it will just let itself go and release.
Because if you put it on too heavy, what generally happens is it'll shrink. because it has so much solvent in it, and then that will delaminate from whatever you attach it to.
And then it just won't do
because it
anything.
gets like a surface tension because it's so thick. So then that's when it shrinks and then pulls up and then delaminates.
Anybody that's actually painted something, like any painter would know, like, you know, you have a little leftover product in a PPS cup, and PPS cup is like essentially the new mix, like the top of the gun. Back in the day, they used to be aluminum cups, but now it's a new modern product. I don't know.
It's like a disposable paint cup.
A disposable paint cup, essentially. And if you have a leftover product in the bottom of it and you let it sit there for about a week, you'll see how much it will actually shrink. And that's mainly with epoxies and high build primers and stuff like that. And you'll see the amount that it shrinks.
Interesting.
It's pretty insane.
It is. It blows my mind that there are all these things in painting, because a lot of times you just see paint and you're like, oh, it's just easy. You just
Something
do it.
very overlooked.
I feel like there's so much science that goes into it, and I feel like it gets taken lightly a lot of times.
Yeah,
And
most definitely, right? Chemistry is fucking amazing.
I think mostly it's based on its service life.
what does that
So a
mean?
lot of the people that overlook a lot of this stuff, it's like they want it to last like a year and their car be all one color, and if they get a year or 2 years out of it, it's totally fine. Whereas us as a business, we're in a much different position. Like they could come back in 5 years, and if they've paid a lot of money, rightfully so, they should be able to come back in 5 years. So it's like that's kind of the disconnect. If you spray it in your driveway, you already know that it's probably not going to last that long, and you're going to live with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if I spray your car in the driveway and you're under the impression that I've done all the stuff and your paint starts peeling off,
Yeah.
then you got problems.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that you had taught me was the aspect of us living where we live.
Okay.
We have all of the weather.
Yep. Literally all of it.
And I think that like the customers here want to drive their stuff as much as they can.
Yeah.
And like down in this, in certain states down in the US where it's super warm, super dry, and you have all those different things, is like you can kind of get away with certain things
Yeah.
where you don't have to worry about corrosion protection. You don't have to worry about all these different aspects of what we do. So for us, we have to constantly keep in mind OEM spec and OEM procedures and all those different things that like big manufacturers would apply in the car at new. We have to think of that now when we're also building the car today.
Oh, okay.
So, we're trying to bring in modern technology into a lot of older cars that may not have that. So it's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's so
I was
true.
just listening to a conversation on Roaster Shop's actual podcast, and they commented on that exact thing. So they're bringing cars in from like, they do all this Survivor Series stuff. Like, it's pretty amazing. But they've brought cars from, like, say, California, and the car looks mint. It's painted 20 years ago. It looks tremendous. Then they get into it, and the thing's got an inch of Bondo, but no blisters, no cracks, no nothing. Whereas in their environment, which is probably a little bit more aggressive than ours is here, but where they have all 4 seasons, it gets super cold in wintertime, they get the snow, they get all the stuff, they struggle with like even the most finite little things, and it's like, oh man, we get like literally nothing and we got a blister, or we got a blemish, or we got this thing where he's like, whereas this car comes from California, the Bondo's an inch thick, they painted it 30 years ago, and it looks like $1 million. And he's like, then you bring it out here and it lasts 1 season, and the fucking bodywork's falling off, and everything's cracking.
And you're like, what?
Yeah, because it almost doesn't rain in California, and like at least where I lived in LA for like 4 years, and I think it only rained for like maybe a week or two out of the whole year. And so
That's crazy.
Yeah, it
But I'd say the
blows-
bulk of those content creators that are putting that stuff out there are from California.
Yeah.
So they don't struggle
Yeah.
with the same thing
No.
as us.
Yeah. And also like another thing is it's not just moisture. Moisture is a big problem, but it's also the temperatures.
Temperature.
So like you get a temperature, we get days here that are like, a hot day would be 35 degrees. And, if you go up to the Okanagan, we can get days that are 40, 41 degrees.
Yeah.
So if you have a car sitting in the sun at 41 degrees,
And this is
then in the
Celsius, yeah.
Celsius, and then in the wintertime, it goes down to -10, you're getting like the most ultimate fluctuation
Yeah.
of temperatures.
That doesn't
where
sound good.
all the products that you use are working their hardest.
Yeah. Yeah. For real.
maintain what they look like.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
And we have humidity here too.
yeah.
Whereas California,
No, it's
Arizona,
just dry
it's
for the
just
most
dry.
part.
So they don't
Yeah.
like here in a single day, like especially right now, we can go from -1 to +15 in the same day. So you walk out to your car, you got condensation, so there's still water being applied to it, even though it's not raining.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then that's not just happening on the outside of the
happening
car; it's happening on the
underneath,
inside the car too.
Oh.
And that's where you end up starting to have problems. So you can't skip over that stuff. Like we get hot rods in here all the time that are California cars, and they have no roofs, no windows. Like we couldn't do that here. There's no way. You go out in the morning, 25 degrees, beautiful sunny day, and it'll piss rain in the afternoon.
Well, Bill's what is that,
Ford.
41?
Yeah, 41.
Yeah.
41 Ford. That car
doesn't
has
have-
absolutely no windows on the doors.
That blew my mind when I saw it. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and that was a
Vancouver
California
car.
No, it was a
Oh,
California car.
It's a California car.
Originally came from California.
That explains it.
And they just-
okay.
They just capped the windows openings with sheet metal, bondoed it, and it literally lasted 30 years. And then they brought it up here, and he starts driving it here, and it all started cracking,
all
and
cracked. Yeah,
separating.
redo all that.
That car would actually be a prime example of that.
And it was built in like '84 and came from California.
Yeah, because
perfect.
that's a fairly well known car, I think, or something in the hot rod world or
Oh,
something.
interesting. Yeah, I did not know that people usually in the hot rod world, at least back then, like they remove their windows and all of that.
It all
Close that
says
off.
California.
I was so surprised by that.
It's just custom, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
Super cool.
Like even like
kinda
shaved
cool.
door handles.
I wish I
and-
didn't need windows.
Yeah. Right?
You know?
Be sweet.
But I don't trust anybody.
Yeah, I don't even
I
think
need
that's
windows.
legal.
Like we spend so much time talking people out of that stuff. Like we have cars, and because they're all trying to emulate builds that they see
On
from
TV.
there. So then they're like, "Oh,
yeah.
should we get rid of the windshield wipers?" You're like, "No." Defrost, vents, all this
know.
kind of stuff. You're like, "No, man. You
There's a
hate
reason
this
that
car."
they're there.
I forgot to lock my truck one time and they stole all my stuff. So I don't know, man. I need windows.
Oh my gosh, it's so interesting. So why does my paint job cost so much? I feel like that's a question.
That is,
Like just break
That's a
down our
question.
process and the layers that go
Yeah.
into one
Yeah.
of our paint jobs.
100%. Like I was saying before, we brought in that one car and, we assessed it and we looked at it and we decided that it wasn't easy enough to just kind of repair the small little areas because there was so many of them. So we have to strip it down to bare metal. So that's where we start from ground up. And now with today's modern cars, the way that they're done from the factory is the sheet metal is epoxied from the ground.
Oh wow.
Okay, so that's where you normally start. That's your starting off process. But the car has to go out, fully strip it down, get it sandblasted, get it back in, get it into epoxy so the car can't rust. So from there, the metal is protected from rusting and the car will not corrode. We get inside, outside, all the crevices and everything. Then what we do is we approach metalwork at that point. So most cars that come in that we do strip that are older, we end up finding corrosion and rust and stuff like that we have to attack. We have to get rid of it. We'll take it all apart, cut it, get into the inside, corrosion protection the inside as well, put the new panels in, weld them in, and then go on about it and epoxy it from there on up. Then we have to start the bodywork stage, but normally you'll assemble the whole car in metal, in epoxy, gap the car, make sure the panels all fit properly. Most of them don't. Like old cars,
Especially older cars.
Old cars are absolutely the worst. For
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Tolerances in those times were
No.
not what they are today.
Huge.
Most
Right.
customers
That's a big disconnect.
want
big
their
for a lot of
old
people.
car to fit like their new car. But if you like, we have all the manuals here, and if you look at the tolerances for what a car was, like a 1/4-inch gap was
Acceptable. Yeah.
3/8.
1/4-inch gap.
Yeah, 1/4 inch.
Oh my gosh,
For-
like Tesla gapping.
Yeah. It's
You know what's actually crazy is that Aston Martin was a DB7 that we did.
DB5.
DB5, sorry.
DB4.
Or DB4.
Yeah, I just went down the whole.
And that was a real DB4.
Yep.
I have so much appreciation for that car.
Really?
Because that car had very minimal adjustment in it.
Oh,
And the panel gaps were absolutely just crazy tight on that car.
that's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
in comparison
were.
to even a new car.
Wow,
They were tight.
I guess that's what you pay for, though.
Yeah, but those ones are tight to
That
like,
car was
like
impressive.
Yeah,
paint
it was.
thickness.
Oh my gosh.
That
Like,
car
there
was
was no room.
impressive.
Wow.
Like if you put the paint on too thick, it would hit.
That was a challenge. That car was a big challenge.
But that's a hand. Like that car is unique in the fact that they built a chassis and then they attached the body panels to the chassis.
Yeah.
So you can't take a fender off. Like they would apply the roof, quarters, fenders, and then they welded them all together and swaged them over the chassis and then built the car. So we couldn't take it apart. It was essentially like the first version of a unibody almost.
Yeah, it really was.
Okay, that's pretty
But
sick.
like the hood specifically on that car, like the way it hinges and the way it passed is like we're talking like less than a 16th of an
That was
inch.
it was a huge challenge to get that thing to fit right.
Wow.
Like if we put 2 more coats of clear on it, it would have rubbed.
Just cover. That's
Yeah,
pretty
so
crazy.
I mean that gets us into panel gapping, right? So we'll panel gap a whole car in metal without bodywork.
Yep.
Panel gap the car, and then if we have to make adjustments, we'll make adjustments at that point because there's no point in going forward with bodywork until the panels are fitting proper. That requires bending, that requires tweaking,
Cutting and welding.
cutting and welding.
Sometimes it gets radical. Yeah.
Sometimes it can get real extreme, and you can spend 2 weeks on just panel fitment easily.
It's
2
important,
weeks, and then that adds up real fast. But then you get into past that stage, then you get into body work. And I don't know if anybody has sanded stuff before,
Oh my gosh.
but sanding
It sucks.
sucks.
I've had some experience on those.
It's very labor intensive, and it takes a long time to do.
Yeah, I feel
And
sorry for interrupting you. Before you continue, of
course.
talking about sanding, like it might look easy from afar, but I haven't even done too much of it. But I know when I was working on my Datsun, I sanded for almost 3 weeks straight. I was just trying to make it at least not as terrible as, and it was still bad. I just got tired of sanding. My hands hurt. Like I was mad at everything, and I just quit. I was like, I'm done with this. I'm just gonna paint it, and it's fine. Now I regret it,
It's a
but
process.
it is a process.
It's 100% a process,
and it's almost an art form, honestly.
It truly is.
It is, but there's also a lot of techniques that can cut and shave a lot of time off that whole
I already
initial
know
thing.
all the mistakes you made. Like we could have cut your time by probably 2/3 with just a couple of simple tricks.
Okay.
100%.
There's techniques where you can apply a coat of Bondo, and then you can use they call it a cheese grater, which is essentially looks like a cheese grater. And before it fully cures, you can rough shape that, and you can get it into a shape where the shape is 80% there.
So you don't have to do like the little.
you
oh my
never-
God.
So
You
you let it
never
get
wait.
rock hard and you're out there
no,
sanding,
no, no,
2 days.
just making dust. And the nice thing about doing it in that particular technique is you can remove 90% of the bulk, and it's
Straight.
It's not flying all over the shop.
Wow.
Makes half the mess.
Dude.
And you can also use a really coarse paper like a 40 grit.
And just
That's what
rough
we
it all
normally do.
in.
We don't use the cheese grater because we don't really apply that much Bondo.
Yeah,
That's like
we're
an
never
old
usually
school
built
technique. The cheese grater is a very old school technique.
You're literally shaving off time because you're grading. You're grading off time.
Yeah.
Literally. But so you'll use certain techniques to try to speed up the process 100%. But it just takes time. No matter what aspect and what way you approach it, it will
much time.
take time because you have to, like, with the industry we're in, is like finish like fine sandpapers now. Back in the day, they used to finish really coarse and it would shave a lot of time. But now it's like 240 grit 320, 240 mainly for final body work.
Oh, really? That's what I want to finish at.
Well, I mean, you have less chance of failure down the road.
Okay.
But you also have to think of adhesion. Adhesion is another problem. So that's
Adhesion of
also
what?
Adhesion of primers to your body fillers.
Because if you go too fine, you'll end up with delamination. So
So
we'll
it's
bite
like
in.
mechanical.
It makes like a
adhesion.
Mechanical adhesion, yeah.
Yeah. So mechanical adhesion works in conjunction with the chemical adhesion, and Brett can elaborate a lot more on that. So your body work's finished in 240 grit, then you apply your primers, your high build primers or
High build primers to fill in the body work. And then you're going to block sand that out, make sure, with guide coats and stuff like that. And you're going to make sure that that panel is straight. And if it needs any adjustment, you're going to adjust it in that stage.
yeah.
And you're going to make sure that the panel is straight. And then you're going to go into your last round of primers. And then you put your last round of primers on, you block it out, it's straight. Then you can go into sealer and then paint.
What is sealer?
Sealer is a product you use prior to base coat. It's basically like a primer base coat.
So it's thinner than.
Most high builds.
Okay.
Yeah. It's thinner than high build primer, but it's it's still thicker than base coat. So it's like the in between, and it's something that you can do wet on wet with base coat. So you could put down your sealer coats, and then you can use your base coat right on top of that. Within, I think, an hour of applying, you can already apply your base coat.
Yeah, because like base coat itself is pretty thin.
Base coat is thin.
It's pretty thin, right? Like it doesn't
really hide anything.
It doesn't hide anything, right?
Base coat is only for color. That is it. You're not trying to hide sand scratches. You're not trying to do any of that.
Right. And like, so like this sealer, like you said, is slightly thicker than the base coat. So it's kind of like, you know, whatever grit you take in your primer, your high build primer
I mean, and that's another thing is like, depending on the color you're spraying is what's dependent on what you finish the car in sandpaper.
Right.
So if you're doing a car in a really light silver metallic, you're probably going to want to finish it in 600 to 800 grit wet because it's such a fine, because what happens is the grit that you use will determine the way that the metallics sit on the panel. So if you have a coarse grit finish, it can actually detect
lay in
like,
one of the cracks,
it's like
and stand
cracks.
on its edge.
It'll change
and you
the
end up
colors
getting
and-
like modeling looking.
Oh,
Because the
interesting.
metallic's not sitting flat, and if it starts to tip, and it will.
It's so
there's
crazy,
a lot
right?
of
Yeah.
there's a lot of different aspects
Yeah.
to it, and it's
So the sealer also eliminates, like if you have little sand
chance of
throughs
that.
in your bodywork, so then you have dissimilar finishes. Like say your initial ground coat is black, and then you use the gray high build, and you have like a black. It's not exposed metal, but it's a bit
like
of a
just
sand through the primer.
Yeah.
What happens close to edges, little things like that, it happens sometimes. The sealer will eliminate that discolor from showing through your base coat.
Oh, I see.
Right. Because that's important. In
gives you a
itself,
solid
right?
ground coat to put your base
It's
on.
like one
Whatever you
consistent
put your
color,
base
and
coat
then
on.
you can put your base coat on.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
But you also have to
color
watch
over
out for,
cover.
because I mean, it's also common for like burn throughs to metal on edges, especially edges. So if you do burn through on an edge, you want to use an epoxy just to kind of like blend it in, and then do like a wet on wet with your sealer on top of that, because you can eventually down the road have potential for failure on those spots as well. So there's all these different aspects that go into a paint job, and that's why these paint jobs cost so much money.
So I mean, that starts to like, hearing all that. I mean, it's like okay, well, painting is clearly extremely labor intensive, very very expensive,
And not
for all
only
the product alone.
Not only that, yeah, the products nowadays
the
are
skill
not
are
cheap.
required, and like the knowledge to make the right choices along
The
the
days
way.
of the $500 paint job,
They're gone.
they're long gone.
And then
Mako?
we've had this discussion so many times, hand over fist, on how does it even make sense
For
that you
500
can get a
bucks.
$500 paint job?
Yeah, that blows my mind.
I mean,
I don't
like,
even think you can, because like a lot of the products that we use are so expensive. Like you can't even buy the product for $500.
we can't
Like
even buy one. Well, I mean, we can get our high build primer for about $500.
Yeah,
and that's
like
just one of the
stage.
stages.
That's one layer of it.
Yeah.
Then you
is
start getting into
mind-blowing.
some of the more exotic stuff. Like we use like a Euro style clear, which is I think $700 a kit.
Oh my
Just for
god.
a
That's
gallon.
for, I think, a gallon.
A gallon?
I think that's
gallon.
1.5 gallons.
Yeah.
I think.
So basically, like
And
for
that's-
us, like job
can still get
costing,
higher stuff.
Gosh.
Yeah.
we're probably almost $5,000 just in product on a complete from bare metal.
Okay, that is crazy.
So it's funny because I've experienced it with people where it's like, oh, how much to paint my hood, and you're like, I don't know, like $1,000, 1,500 ish in that ballpark, depending on damage and how much work it requires to do it. And you're like, oh, that much? I'm like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the product
Product
alone
alone is this much.
You know,
like fuck, I ain't gonna do it for
product
nothing.
alone to do a
Yeah.
hood, you know, it depends on the amount of work it is, but like,
And after the
just
labor and
crazy.
all of that, like I start to also think is it worth it to even like just do that? Or so you're not even getting as much profit as they would think that you are just
No,
for that.
yeah,
That's-
not
that's,
with today. Yeah.
Most people make that disconnect. They feel that like you're ripping them off, like you're gouging them because like, you know.
But they're the
you're-
same guys at the back end that'll complain about every single little thing.
Yeah.
And when it
So
goes
we just
wrong,
we just
they're
don't
like,
even do those kind of jobs
just don't
because
do
like
it.
you know, like most people will talk about their negative experience because they only paid so much, and you know, so we just don't do it.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Paint is a crazy thing nowadays.
So much. Like I didn't even know. I mean, I've seen you guys work on the cars, and I didn't even know all of this went into it. But what I have seen a lot is the amount of time that you guys put in, because
It's a lot of time.
you can be sanding one car for weeks and weeks, and I'm
It's
just
hundreds
like,
of hours.
oh my
That's
gosh.
what makes the paint job what it is, though. So you get to see a lot of painters, and they sort of get all the credit for everything. But I would say it's probably 70% the body work before the paint job. Because you can have the best paint technique ever, but if you're painting on body work,
Right.
it's still going to
Gonna
look
show
shitty.
through. Yeah.
So I mean, it's like going all the way through to the end. And I mean, if you're a decent painter, you wouldn't paint that.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, but there's always going to be that guy that will do it and he doesn't care. But if I brought him something that somebody else, like, he won't even bring something, like, we won't even do it. And he won't put a paint job on something that came from someplace else.
Oh, okay. Because you don't know what they did.
You don't know what they did. You don't know what's going to come
and at
apart.
the end
And
of
then
the day,
ultimately, so he might get all the credit. It's like, oh,
But you
Brett-
also get all
Brett's
the
a crazy painter.
other
He's
credit
awesome.
as well.
But if it comes apart, he's also getting all the
Yeah.
and he probably didn't even do it.
Yeah.
You can, yeah.
So we just can't risk it for us, and we just won't do it. Like, if you don't want to do it properly, then there's people that'll do it. And if you're just trying to flip it or need it to last a few years, or you just
There's
want it
way
all
other
one
people
color,
out there that will
there's
do
other
that.
people that'll do it. But for us, we just can't. Like, we can't risk it.
Yeah, that's very good to know, because again, before even doing my stupid paint job that I use Rust-Oleum.
But how
cans
long has
and
your
all
paint
of that.
job lasted?
It still
it's-
actually lasted.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm
incredible.
surprised the paint is still on the car. So
It's
I
still
didn't
on the
expect
car,
it-
but
I
I've
honestly
seen
didn't
some.
expect it to last this long. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm shocked. You've been here for how long? Like, over almost a year. I'm surprised it's lasted that long.
No, me too. I am as surprised as you are.
And it's been. I remember watching the video of you do it, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
It was so bad.
like, This guy's painting it with rattle cans.
Freaking
and
rattle cans. Yeah.
You know what? Like, right on.
But
It
no,
works.
but even the stupid paint job that I did and everything, all the terrible steps that I did, it still made me appreciate painters or people that do body work so much more.
Yeah, it's
it's
lot
a
of work.
newfound gratitude. And so when
Yeah.
I see you guys, and I'm like, oh gosh, that's also doing the same like thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
To your brain, I don't even know what it does. You're like, oh my god, you probably also
think it's
get
a chase.
exhausted.
It's a
with that.
chase to get that particular car finished. That's what it is for, I think,
The driving-
us. I think I could say that, like, for most of us, like, as in the body paint, it's like you're just chasing that end product.
So
You
it's
wanna
almost like
get
a
to that
driving
end.
force
You want
for
to
you.
see what it looks like when
Yeah,
it's finished.
yeah.
And you want it to look the best that it could.
So, like, the single most exciting moment, of course, before the final paint job, is that first coat of primer.
Yeah.
When the car's all
One
one
color.
color.
When it goes into
That's
high
what-
For
build.
example, it's the Porsche right here, right behind you, this 996 wide
Yeah.
body, the Milesworks wide body. Like that car, when we first put it in the black primer, and you just get to sit back and look at it, and you can see it in your head, right? Like that's that creative part of us where we all strive for that finished product, you know, and it's like you get to finally see it, and you're like, wow.
'Cause
Satisfaction.
It's hard to take it all in when it's all different colors. 'Cause
Yes.
You have no idea what
You
it
got
looks
gel
like,
coat and primer on this, and the E-coated panel over here, and you're just like, oh my god, this is, like, are you sure?
Is it gonna
and then you
yeah.
put one coat, one full solid color, and you're like, okay, this makes sense. Man. So that before, and then the end, of course, that sort of gives you a small window into how cool the car is actually going to look, and then that gives you the little bit of wind in your sails at the end to get it to the end. It's like, okay, we're almost there. Let's get it painted and cleared. But like that first coat of primer is like, that's like the midway point almost. That's when it's like, okay, there's an end to this, but it's a long road, man.
Yeah, mad respect, man. 'cause
Yeah,
it's not
seriously.
easy to do.
No.
It's not easy. Like any one of us could grab some sandpaper and start sanding, but it's you know, there's a lot of little tips and tricks, little things along
And
the way that you don't know.
Yeah, you didn't even talk about, like, for example, even the paint guns and like atomization, that's like a whole
That's a whole
nother
nother
world.
That's like a whole nother conversation.
Because some people use like cheap guns, and it's like, oh, there's the Harbor Freight $5-6 gun.
If you're just trying to make it one color, knock yourself
go
out.
ahead.
But it's like to the level that we have to do things and what people are expecting, then you have to start chasing those little finite advantages in every single level to get to where you need to go. Plus, it becomes a production thing.
Yes.
Like, sure, you can go shoot it with a Harbor Freight gun, knock yourself out, and then sit there and wet sand and polish your car for 2 weeks. That's no problem. But 2 weeks of shop time is like, what, we're going to charge an extra 15 grand?
That's not worth it.
We can't do it. So we have to try to get it as good as we can, straight off the gun, so that final stage
is cheap.
Glorious.
Is cheap. Like, it's quick and it's easy. So
see,
it's like,
and we've been there before, because we all started from nothing too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I gotta go to the washroom, boys. I'm gonna.
No, you're good. You can keep talking. Okay, see you soon. I don't think I'll cut this one out. So you were saying about the equipment and
yeah, so I mean, that's the other side of it, is once you start to try to streamline the process, because yeah, we have the ability to wet sand and polish every single car and put an extra coat of product on so that we have the ability to do that, but that's another expense.
Yeah.
So if we can get it off the gun as nice as we can in like 2 coats and then give it a light wet sand and polish, it saves us money. It saves us time, saves us money, and then you're not building more mill thickness either. So it's like, it's better. Whereas a lot of guys will just shoot clear till it's dripping off the car and then wet sand and polish it, which is fine. If you got the time for it and you want to do it, knock yourself out.
I mean, that's part of your program, right?
We don't have that luxury, because we got to get it done and get it out. So we have to start. And then anything that gives us an advantage is like, you're essentially investing in yourself.
yes,
So you get better tools, you get better things, and it's like,
constant improvement.
we were talking about it earlier, it never ends. Like, we've been doing this for 20 years, and it's like, it seems like we're constantly upgrading and evolving.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the stuff we were turning out 20 years ago in the garage was like getting accolades then, but now as you within that circle of people, and then you move to the next level, and then the next, and each progressive one, you're having to upgrade your equipment, your tools, and it's like, it never ends. I don't think it'll ever end.
Wow.
No,
Because
I doubt
technology
it
is
ever
advancing
will, right?
so fast at the same rate as we're evolving that it's, I don't think we'll ever get to the end. Because by the time we get to the next thing, it's time to replace the last thing, and you're just like, ugh.
Yeah, and then like, it's like every single one of us in our shop, I mean, we're all trying to be the best that we can be. Like, I mean, what point is there to do this if we don't try to do that?
Yes.
And so we're always going to be chasing, how do we get better? What's next? What are we working on next to get better at what we do? I mean, that's kind of the point.
Because it's interesting you mentioned that, because I feel like some people might think once you find something, you stick with it, and it's like, that's it. Like, you're not like moving forward. It's like,
you see it a lot, right? Like, it's okay,
you just get comfortable.
This is the line that I just finally stepped over the line that I drew.
Yeah,
you know,
And there's a lot of
this
those
is where I'm going to
people
be.
that specialize in little specific things, but I don't want to be that guy. That's like having a real job. It just get too repetitive.
Yeah.
Like doing the same thing over and over again. It's like, even if you're doing it something cool, it's still repetitive, and that's not what I'm about.
No, things advance too fast now. Things are evolving and getting so significantly better with every passing year.
oh yeah,
I mean, there's so much potential to evolve to a higher level of standard, and it's just, you know, that's what we're shooting for, man.
Like, we mention it every single time. Like, we're sitting here doing a podcast. We have a YouTube channel. We got CNC equipment, robots. They're like, now people have to be like, the days of just hanging around the shop with a crescent wrench and a can of beer. Like, no, it's not like that anymore. Now people got to be smart, and they got to be on it, and you got to be prepared to evolve with the industry. Otherwise, you're gonna get left behind. So those dinosaurs are still out there, and there's people that like dealing with them. Like, again, we were talking earlier, it's like, we have customers that deal with different people for different things on different levels of their build. Like, oh, this is good enough for this guy. This is good enough for this guy, but I need you guys to do this. And then I joking about it, like, why do I get all the hard shit all the time? Like, I want some of that gravy work that you're handing out.
Easy stuff.
But no, but I mean, that's just a testament to what we do, is that people feel comfortable enough to like, hey, these guys will figure it out. And you just stand there like,
regardless of how difficult it is.
On to the next challenge, So, so it's like we've gone over a lot about like how the process of paint goes, and you know, it's all very aesthetic. It's corrosion resistant. It's wonderful. Ceramic coating like Cerakote, it has a lot of those properties too, but it's so much faster to apply.
Yeah,
but it's great for like corrosion resistance, chemical resistance, heat, all that. It's like basically a one-stop, prep, shoot, and put it into service kind of thing. And powder coat is kind of similar on that level, but it doesn't have the same sort of level of like,
precision that
precision, chemical resistance. It's not good for anything that's going to get hot, so don't use it for that.
What about cost?
Cost on powder coat is the cheapest, right?
Powder
it's the
coat
most
is the cheapest. Okay.
economical choice there is, and that's why you choose it for some things, right? Not everything that is in your project, whatever you're doing, is going to require the most high-end finish. Sometimes it just needs to
be
look
protected.
good and just be protected, because powder coat's good for that. Like, don't put it on anything that's going to have any kind of flexion or be subject to heat. You don't do
rigid product.
What about cost? Like cost difference between powder coat and Cerakote? Is it like double? Or, massive.
Way more.
Cerakote's a lot more.
Okay,
it's not an inexpensive product. And then basically, like, I don't know if even necessarily it's something that you could do at home. Like, we're talking about all this stuff, but we have a huge amount of.
You can do powder coating at home.
Well, remember
in a
back
toaster
in the,
oven.
Remember back in the days we started out doing it in a toaster oven? You can't do it at home.
You
can't do it at home.
Almost done
You
it once.
can do it in your oven, in your
freaking
kitchen.
oven.
Don't let your significant find out, because it's not a
What
good
are you
idea.
baking?
A rim.
It's very chemically. I wouldn't recommend it.
So there's cheats to everything, and then even that it's not great.
No.
So I mean, you can do it, and I'm sure you can do Cerakote at home yourself too, but it's not very friendly. It's not a friendly product.
Oh, it's like horrible chemical smell.
Yeah.
Brett has a full-on fresh air breathing system
smell
for
it
when
too.
he uses
I can still smell it.
Cerakote product.
No,
Like,
I
it's
mean, like
intense.
right now, I can still smell it.
He's got PTSD.
It's been lodged in your brain.
Remember that one
I'm
time?
looking at that frame right there. That's gold and the glacier
You're like,
gold. I'm like, oh, I can smell it.
So it's probably not something you should be doing at home.
No.
Yeah.
And we're very casually speaking about all these processes, but we're lucky enough to have all the proper equipment and to be able to do it in-house. So
Yeah,
we
you did
have those
very well.
options. Like, the other side of it is, if you're building your project at home, you're going to have to outsource these different things, and then that's a whole different conversation as to where you're going and why you would choose different products. Whereas for us, we basically toggle through these 3 different coatings, like, in an instant. Like, oh, that's Cerakote, powder coat that, paint that, and away we all go. Whereas at home, you like to send Cerakote out, and because of the process of what it is, it's quite expensive. Even the base product itself is expensive. So there's a lot of things that we have the luxury of Cerakoting just because it looks nicer and it's an amazing product, but you're probably not going to do it to your normal car, because you can go and powder coat your control arm for, if you strip it, prep it, maybe $30.
Oh, that's not bad.
But you get him to Cerakote your control arm is going to be $250.
Yeah.
I would probably still Cerakote this.
Once you start to
probably
experience the product,
I would too.
once you experience the product, you definitely have a new respect for it, and you'll find things to do with it. But I mean, if you're trying to build something normal, it's going to be expensive. Like, it builds up fast, because it is a process. And if they are methodical about it and they do it well, it's like, it's just not a cheap process. Whereas powder coat is fairly cheap. Like, you can blast it straight to powder coat, way you go. Like, you can probably get a rim done for, get it blasted and powder coat is like $150.
That's not bad.
That's not
That's
bad.
pretty reasonable.
Very, very
And it
cost.
looks great. And for
it's
what
not
it
a
is,
bad idea.
it's perfect.
But
But
the other cool thing about the Cerakote again is, like, you can do plastics with it. You can do
plastics with
Oh,
it?
yeah.
I experimented myself with my own products on my own car. So my truck, for example, I did the whole grill in burnt bronze. But I also had a lot of failing with it. So I discovered a new routine for myself that works, and something that seems to be doing out and
there
holding
you
up
throw your
incredibly.
grill in the powder coat oven.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah, go do
That's
that.
happening. Yeah, my Genesis grill.
Or
happens to it.
even try to sand prep that for paint.
Yeah.
Can you imagine doing that on a C10?
Hell no.
Well, no, that's the other side of it. Is
You
that
know,
you
nobody
still
would
have
do
to-
that.
No.
But you still have to sand it for.
Yeah, but you can media blast it, right?
Well, that's the other thing, is that something that we've discovered is that you have to be careful sandblasting the plastic.
So you don't take off the
Everything has its own procedure.
It'll melt it because
it's hot.
Because sandblasting does create heat, right? So it'll melt it in a really ugly way.
Yeah.
Or it'll break the surface and start tipping up plastic fibers.
Oh shoot!
Yeah.
And making it hairy.
It makes it hairy, and then you can't get rid of it.
Some people might like that. I don't know.
I don't know. That's
a
a whole
way
look
you're
in
into.
itself. Yeah.
That sounds kind of European. I don't know.
Different podcast.
Not my bag, but
Oh my gosh! I don't know. Do you guys have anything else to add? I don't know. We're like at an hour and 12 minutes.
No, I think we're good. If people want to ask and comment on very specific aspects of any one of these, then I mean we can address them in a future one. But
Awesome.
please
With that said,
comment.
Yeah,
Feel
comment.
free to ask us some questions.
Like the video if you liked it. Give it a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm a lot. With that said, thank you guys for watching this video or listen to this podcast. Tune in to us next week. It is going to be golden. Have an amazing day. Bye.
Thank you.